Hi, I'm Wilhelm. Today I would like to show you the spiritual dynamic behind our passion for fame, power and riches. This video is especially addressed to the young audience because they are most seriously endangered to be manipulated and exploited. And they usually have no idea why this is done and by whom. In my video, The Luciferian Doctrine, I briefly mentioned that there are souls in this world who have turned demonic and who want us to fall for the lure of money, fame and fortune. And the reason for this is always energy. It is a fierce battle for energy and survival.
As I mentioned many times before, we come here to Earth for several reasons, but mainly to grow and to undo our past karmic burdens. But as a child of God, we are also here to be like God, which means to express the unlimited, unconditional and selfless love of God. And that is our true nature and also our purpose in this lifetime. So when it comes to our future, our career or our work, our innate choice is to find a field where we can serve others in one way or another. It does not need to be a grand thing like saving mankind or finding medical cures for millions. It can be a very humble activity like being there for our family or just for one person or even an animal. The main thing is that our goal in life is not just the comfort and safety of our own bloated ego, the me, but for something that is larger than ourselves and serves others. That is the selfless love which we are made of in action. And that is also where happiness can be found. Some of you may know the famous words by the Nobel Peace Prize laureate Albert Schweitzer when he addressed the class of young students. He said, "I don't know what your destiny will be, but one thing I know, the only ones among you who will be really happy are those who will have sought and found how to serve." This does not mean that making lots of money, having fame and power cannot make one happy. They can, but only if they come as an unintended byproduct and are not our main goal in life. So why is our society so obsessed with the rich and famous if that is not the goal for our soul? As I've outlined in my videos of The Luciferian Doctrine, Evil and Spirit Possession, there is a powerful army of rebellious souls or negative astral entities who need energy to survive. These fallen souls have totally exhausted their own energy potential and have since developed many schemes to steal these life energies from us humans. And one of their favorite targets are young people because of their vulnerability. Here is a typical example. Their first step is to influence the feeling and thinking of a young person. They do this through the law of attraction and find someone who already has some form of low self-esteem. They then inject reinforcing thoughts into their mind. A typical thought is, "I am not enough." This thought gets intensified every time this young teenager now compares himself with his siblings, his friends, his community, or TV or internet porn sites, where he sees others who seem to be better off than he is. They are looking better, are thinner, more fashionable, more popular, and so on. In addition, he is manipulated by the number of likes on Facebook and other internet social networks. This vicious thought circle closes around this teenager tighter and tighter until he loses all his self-esteem, becomes totally self-absorbed, anxious, depressed, hopeless, and even suicidal. Typical symptoms are the variety of eating disorders and in some cases self-mutilation like cutting or tearing out the hair. As we know, everything is vibration, and the suffering that this young person is going through is oozing out a powerful vibration that these negative astral beings feed off. So the more he suffers, the more attractive he becomes to these entities. This is a very cruel scenario. But this is only the first step. The next step is that this young person feels like having a big emotional hole in himself that desperately needs filling. This is where often recreational drugs come in, as they are giving the temporary feeling of empowerment, escape, or relaxation. His intense craving for approval can also lead to promiscuity and other vices. All of this is vibrational food for the unseen negative entities, the rebellious souls. As this young person with his extremely low self-esteem, watches the celebrities in the media, he may also come to the conclusion that if he would have lots of money, or fame, or power, he no longer would be unhappy because he would then be admired by all the people whose approval he craves. He hopes his inner emotional hole would finally be filled and he would be happy ever after. That is exactly what these negative entities want him to believe, because now he has left his original divine calling of coming here to earth to love and to serve. From now on, it's all about becoming rich or famous or super powerful as fast as possible. For this young person, it now is all about wealth and celebrity, to win the love and respect of others with bling and buzz. Being bombarded with images of the super rich, the super powerful, the Kardashians and the like, he is now determined to become like them because he is still driven by the same original message, I am not enough. But as we know, for most young and even older persons, this is an unattainable dream. Sooner or later, the sobering reality sets in, and when that happens, the person feels like a complete failure. The I have failed, together with self-loathing and self-hating, is exactly what the negative entities want him to feel. Again, these vibrations are energy food for them, and the longer he will stay in this state of despair and self-pity, the better for them. It is all manipulated. This feeling of failure was pre-planned by them. But not everybody fails. There are quite a few people who are very determined and actually achieve the outlandish riches, the fame and power. How is it possible? Again, in many cases, this is purposely fostered by these demonic forces. They cleverly and constructively assist these high achievers to reach their goals. They make it happen for them to meet the right people, the perfect environment, and so on. But nothing is for free. It is a Faustian bargain, a pact with the devil. Because eventually, these demonic entities will demand compensation for their services, and that usually means servitude for their souls in the afterlife. But sooner or later, these high achievers will realize that all their riches, their fame, and their power does not fill their inner hole. So they hope that more of it might do it. But it is never enough. If 1 million is not enough, neither will be 10 millions or 100 million. So they are driven by unbridled greed, which is more, more, more. But nothing fills that inner bottomless pit. And the eventual result is total burnout or collapse. Again, it is a feeling of complete failure, as the old message, I am not enough, has been pushing them all the time. All of this is carefully planned and manipulated by those who now keep on feeding on these juicy energies of defeat and self-loathing. This is the typical life of any addict. The only escape out of this vicious circle is to stop and remember that these negative forces are defenseless against the source of all life, against God or Christ. They are the abundance, the fullness of life, and the only medicine to heal the inner hole. Nothing is stronger than that. And once we make the decision and ask for help and truly surrender to these divine powers of heavens, then help will be given to us to restore us back to sanity if we do our steps like asking for forgiveness and making amends. That is what the members of any AA program learn as they are encouraged to recognize this higher power, to listen to that higher power and allow God or Christ to inspire them in their journey of recovery. This is the path to freedom, back home, back to love. If you are interested to see how our young generation is purposely corrupted with the false ideals of wealth, fame, and power, you may find the documentary Generation Wealth on Amazon very informative.
In my video, I've outlined the problem with a very broad brushstroke. I'm fully aware that there are exceptions. There are wealthy, powerful, and famous people who are using their resources for the good and benefit of others. Money, fame, and power in themselves are not the problem. It is our addiction to them that can destroy us. A soul that is addicted to the privileges that power, fame, and riches bring often arrives after death in the spiritual world as an impoverished soul who will have great difficulties to adjust in a world where these aspects have no meaning at all. Thank you for watching.